There's one of the other things, Peter and I were talking about this earlier, that I think is a critical element, and that is we oftentimes see the maintenance side of the operation left out of the conversation.
Absolutely. You have to figure technicians are around the airplane more than the pilots are. It's just by nature of their responsibilities that they're going to be around that aircraft and around that facility at a higher frequency. So I think it's a missed opportunity today when technicians, and specifically the maintenance supervisors, are not engaging in the safety culture. If they're not, they're missing a huge opportunity to get that portion of the department well engaged, who can then become the leaders of that culture. Because I do believe that they should be leading when it comes to the entire encompassing of safety, because they're around that risk all the time. And it needs to be implemented amongst all the employees who follow suit, even the office workers upstairs in the hangar, because they're exposed to those chemicals from time to time. They need to know what's in the building at all times, and they need to be part of the process.
I'm sorry.
I would say, and that's really important on a larger, well-resourced operation. If I'm a small operator, I don't have technicians, and I'm relying upon my third-party maintenance resources, how does that come into play?
I think you're taking a little bit higher elevated risk when you bring individuals in who are not owners of the aircraft and who are not responsible for that aircraft on a regular basis, because now they don't know what's in that facility when they're doing that maintenance on an in-house basis. So I think it's important that they recognize it and know that whether they need to implement a policy that covers people who are coming in that are non-employees.
Peter, one of the things I've observed as we've walked into aviation teams is oftentimes these adoption of risk standards and policies and procedures are oftentimes done to the maintenance team, not with them. They're often a secondary thought.
I would agree. I've been in enough flight departments to know that it's a reactionary movement within the technicians to comply with something that has been implemented from the operations side of the department. And I think that's the wrong approach. I think that they should be developing those procedures and then implementing them through the department, because they're in the risk environment that needs to be shared. And if they can't develop a good program, I don't think it's going to be efficient and implemented the way it should.
I think the healthiest aviation risk programs I've seen are the ones that are developed with the whole team. Right. Everyone participates in that process. They just don't buy a standard off the shelf and say, hey, do this. They don't buy a standard package. It's really, truly integrated and aligned with the organization. We've seen some organizations actually integrate the aviation risk identification process, mitigation process, with whatever processes are used downtown. Not the norm, but powerful when you see it.
I think when the program can be curtailed to that specific operation, it's at its best.
So guys, where does the greatest risk lie? Is it in the air? Is it on the ground? How do I know?
Well, I can tell you from statistics that the highest rate of insurance claims is from aircraft movement on the ground, whether it be at a fixed base operation or in your own operation. Wingtip problems with clearances, you're not having proper wing walkers, speed of the aircraft, weather, everything there during the towing process greatly increases the risk of damage.